Kitty. Here's Kitty.
Oh, hi. Oh, hiya. How are you doing, gang? Oh, listen to the whoops and the cheers. What I do at this point is I imagine myself with a live studio audience, but actually it's just you and me and I'm in your ear holes. But let's imagine that we're on like Bruce Forsyth's Generation Game or something and I've got shiny shoes on a shiny floor and a shiny suit. I have gone a bit shiny today, treasures. It's me, it's Kitty Cassis. Hiya, how are you doing? You're gorgeous. You're all looking gorgeous wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this. It's me, it's Kitty Cassis. Cassis like the dark, sweet, viscous, slightly sickly liqueur. Only tolerable in very small doses. Hiya. Now what I'm doing is I'm doing a bit of ASMR. Chewing. I've had a couple of DMs from, okay, I'm going to say it. They look like suspicious profiles, but they like me masticating. All right, they like me chewing, and they love it when I have a little slurp of my beverage as well. So I'll be doing that later. Welcome back to Calling Kitty. And now, for those of you that are avid subscribers and avid listeners, and you're hanging on me every word, and you're tuning in live each week, we've had a little bit of a hiatus. My husband Dave has been racing ferrets all over the northwest of England, and I've been there. Can you imagine, gang, in my stilettos, sinking down into the mud, following him around various places to race these bloody ferrets? So I've had a few weeks off, but I'm back, and I want to welcome you back to Calling Kitty. Maybe you're listening for the first time. Maybe you're actually catching up on, maybe it's 2030 and it's a dystopian future and you've found a podcast app in the dirt and you've found this and you're listening to them all at once. And so I've not had a gap because you've just had them all back to back. In parallel universes, I've got to cover every eventuality, treasures, all right. But what is Calling Kitty? Well, it is an audio podcast with a visual element. For those of you that are tuning in on the visual element, have you checked out the YouTube link yet? For those of you that are just listening on audio, I am looking gorgeous as usual. And if you've not checked out the YouTube channel, please do go and have a look, because by God, it's entertaining in there. And if you delve into the comments section, well, you'll see that Big Dude 787 has entered the chat. He calls it childish, pathetic, and in no way funny, man. And that's a direct quote. It's great feedback, and it will probably be used as a testimonial on me Edinburgh promotional material. All right, so thanks, big dude. You're gorgeous, and I want you to just give yourself a big hug and know that no matter how hurt you were in your childhood, we're all rooting for you, treasure. Now, for those of you that are listening, I hope you're all right. I'd say that Calling Kitty is for the listener or the viewer who is currently dealing with public transport. Now, if you are there right now, my thoughts and prayers and chakra healing chants are with you. Yeah, you there, gripping onto the safety handle as the bus arrives at breakneck speed. But you know as well as I do that some dirty bugger has had their greasy fingers in the very same place that your digits are now resting. And we all know that their attention to personal hygiene was somewhat lacking. All right, some grubby, cheesy, bollocked previous passenger has no doubt slimed all over those services. And here you are just trying to hold on for dear life. There's going to be people now on buses and trains, you know, literally maybe 24 of you on public transport now, and you're going to be like, oh Christ, Kitty, did you have to mention that? Because you don't think about it in the moment until somebody really draws your attention to it, do you? So I'm sorry about that. But if that's you and you're on public transport, this is for you, treasures. I see you. You are me. I am you. I'm with you. Have you got hand gel? Have you? Have you got your antibacterial wipes? Your little travel size version? Do you have a hazmat suit? I mean, you need one, to be honest, in this day and age. Nobody is washing their bloody hands, all right? And listen, Kitty is not a germaphobe, not by any stretch. I mean, listen, I mean, Dale Winton, one of my clients, he was albino when I met him. It took us years and years to get that tan, so I am no stranger, all right? I'm no stranger to getting my hands dirty, if you know what I mean. But if you are, I'm in spirit with you. I'm there with you in spirit, and you're welcome in this place. And the Dettol deities surround you, and they travel on this public transport route with you. We went on a lot of public transport, me and Dave, with these bloody ferrets. I mean, that's one way to actually clear a whole carriage. Just take in a crate full of ferrets with you. That is literally all you need to do. And for many more tips and tricks like that, do get in touch with me. The show notes are in whatever episode you're listening to now, but you can get in touch with me on Hiya It's Me Kitty. I've got a domain name. Hiya It's Me Kitty. HIYAITSMEKITTY. Is there anyone out there who's come up with a jingle for that yet? No, there isn't. All right. I mean, Michael Flatley, you know, Lord of the Dance, he got in touch with me. He said, Kitty, I've come up with some like folk tunes to go on the back of your jingle. I said, Michael, no, we're not going for folk. We're not going for a folk vibe. I want more of like, you know, like a bitch track vibe. That's what I want. Do you know what I mean? You know, I am, if you can't afford Charity Shop Sue, you get in touch with Kitty Cassis. All right, that's the vibe. And I want my musical accompaniment to go along with that, if you know what I mean, treasures. So get in touch with me. I'm on all the channels. I'm on all the platforms, whether it's MySpace, OnlyFans. I've got a profile on LinkedIn, believe it or not. I get a lot of traction on there. But I'm on all the usual places, Facebook, Insta, TikTok. Get in touch. And you can speak to me about anything at this point, all right? I sorted out a lot of problems in the United Nations back in the 1990s. I mean, I didn't leave everything quite as it should have been. A lot of things have cropped up since then that I didn't quite dot the I's and cross the T's, but you know, that is my style, all right? And if you've got any dilemmas or problems, get in touch with me. And I believe that somebody has done that today, all right? Somebody has got in touch with me today, and they're going to share this space on the podcast with me, all right? You can do the same, all right? No problem at all. So I think my lovely niece, Ellie, she's there tinkering away. I mean, she should be up at Balmoral Castle. She's doing cater waitering. But I said to her, can you come and do the podcast for me, treasure? Because I've got things to do. I've got ferrets to shave. Do you know what I mean? Oh, here we go. We've got someone on the line now. Let's have a look. We've got someone on the line. Let's see. Oh, hello, gorgeous. How are you?
Hi, Kitty. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. How did you get in touch with me? Tell the listeners how you got in touch, and if you'd recommend getting in touch.
Yeah, it actually started with I got a pigeon that was sent to my flat, and it had attached to its leg your podcast, the link and a number, and it was just like, got any problems? And it was weird because it came at a time in my life when I've got quite a big problem that I think maybe you can help me with. So then I sent a ferret back, which is weird because the pigeon just lives with me now. But it said specifically ferret.
Is she keeping you company? Yeah, is she keeping you company?
Yeah, I mean, her feathers are everywhere, and she makes like those weird sounds all through the night. And she brings in mice. It's a lot of mice, but
you can
she's
grill
lovely.
those.
Sheila.
You could grill those and put them on some toast. So we're solving lots of problems, aren't we? Cost of living crisis. You could actually fry one of those up and eat that as an evening snack, couldn't you?
I mean, you could tell from the state of my room that I'm having my personal cost of living crisis. And yeah, that's great advice. Like, Sheila's pulling her weight. Let's put it that way. She's bringing it in.
I mean, I think what you need to be doing is charging Sheila the pigeon some rent. at this point. That would just be a suggestion. But like I say, if you're out there and you are wanting to get in touch, do get in touch and let me tell me what's going on. Tell me what's going on with you.
So I've tried telling Sheila, but she doesn't have a lot of sympathy for this. So it goes quite far back. This problem.
Right.
Basically, this guy I had sort of like a holiday fling with in about sort of 2014. I met him through friends. We all went together to this music festival in Spain, and we got together and we got back to London, and I thought we would leave it there, but like things sort of carried on a bit, and then they sort of fizzled, and that was fine, and this is how things work. We kept in touch a little bit, and then he messaged me recently. So this is sort of 10 years on from when we first met. So we met in 2014, and he messaged me and sort of was interested in maybe picking things up again. But he also messaged me like on the text chain that we last spoke on, as though no time had passed at all, as though like I just seen him last week, and he was like, "Hey, let's meet up again," and that felt like, I don't know, not very respectful. So I don't know what to do.
There is a red flag immediately there. Right, okay, so there's a red flag immediately. Like, have you had a head injury? Have you been in a coma? There's no like, hey, it's been a while. We're just straight back into... I mean, maybe he's on a parallel universe where time works differently.
I thought that could be one. Yeah. What if he's travelled through time? So, I saw this documentary that was about hot tubs that can also become time machines.
Right,
What if he slipped, fell into one?
Yeah.
Turns up in 2024. Donald Trump was president? What? He's confused. The Lib Dems are out. Why? They were doing such a good job. Like, he's really, what's going on? And
it's a phenomenon. It is a paranormal phenomenon. Hot tubs, especially when hot people fall into hot tubs.
He's
that
very
can happen.
handsome.
Right.
He's a good-looking guy, and it was fun, and I did like him.
Have you left him on red?
Yeah, for the moment, because I'm not sure how to take this. Yeah. Is it always a sign of, does he miss me so much that he just needs to see me? Or is it quite disrespectful to be like, hey, no time has passed, when in fact the entire world has changed fundamentally, I'd say. And or was it a mistake? Or has he regretted it already? I don't know. I don't know what to say. Should I go and see him? I don't know.
I mean, I feel
What do you
like
think?
maybe you just need to send him a dick pic. Doesn't need to be any... It
like
could be a
somebody
screenshot.
else's dick.
Yeah. I mean,
Just being like, I'm getting great dick now.
That could be it. That could be it.
It's quite literally a ballsy move, yeah.
So if we're talking 10 years ago...
Yeah.
I'm trying to think where we were with apps and things like that 10 years ago.
Can I just say one thing? I was much hotter as well, whereas I'm not sure if he's changed, so I don't want to disappoint. But I was better 10 years ago.
Do you know what? You could never disappoint, Treasure. And actually, I don't want you going into this with that mindset. Absolutely not.
True.
What I want you going in punching down, but not in the political way. As in, I want you to be a 10 and he's a 5. Who knows? But one thing I do know, like back then, were we all glued to our phones like we are now? 10 years ago.
So something I find weird, like he could video call me like quite easily. FaceTime existed back then. But what's so weird is that he probably, if he is a time traveller, he probably still thinks that Skype is the world's #1 video conferencing software. Which they messed up the pandemic big time.
They really did.
Do I need to tell him that?
Yeah. I mean, he could have even bought shares. He could have bought shares in Skype. And you're going
I'll be a billionaire.
You're going to have to break a lot of things to him, aren't you?
Yeah, but he'll be thinking by 2024 I'll be a billionaire and then she'll want me. And his plan has gone wrong because he should have gone Zoom. Zoom.
I mean,
Skype
really,
handed the pandemic to him.
Anybody who was talking about Zoom 10 years ago, we would have just said, you're off your head. I mean, actually,
Laughed in their face.
Bobby Davro was talking about Zoom and he got laughed out of the Working Men's Club.
And
we
that
all
was the
know
one
about
reason
that.
he got laughed at. The only reason. He's a very serious man otherwise.
He's very astute politically. he's on it. He's into it, economics and all that kind of thing, but he misjudged that one completely. So let's just see now. I've got a question for you. Out of those group of friends that you were all going away with 10 years ago, how did this guy, where is his place in this group of friends? Does anyone know where he has been for the 10 years?
So this is a problem. I'd say it's a group of friends that doesn't quite exist anymore. So I went with a workmate who I worked with at the time that I was quite close to, and I haven't seen her in a long time. Like, she's married with a baby now, so her life is very different. And then basically her boyfriend at the time...
She's doomed, basically, yeah.
She's chosen a path in life, and good luck to her. And so basically her boyfriend at the time, so her boyfriend from 10 years ago, the guy who's in touch with me was his friend. So I'm not in touch with my friend's ex, and so there are like three of them from his friendship group. I'm not in touch with those guys.
So all of the chains of connection have broken. That's what we're saying here, isn't it? Which probably made him think either I can get away with this if he's not a time traveller, or if he is a time traveller, she's all I've got, and maybe I've doomed him by not texting him back. Oh, it's a lot to think about. You see, already there's a lot of pressure on you in this relationship, this phantom relationship. Now, have you got a first name and a surname? Because with a light little bit of Googling, we could find out where he is, where he works, what he's doing, if he has come back to this this time and space continuum system.
Yes, all of it. I have to say I have forgotten his surname.
Right.
I do have his first name. It's like a well-known name,
so it's common.
But spelled oddly.
Right.
Yeah. I could probably go back through the emails organising that trip from 10 years ago and find his surname. It's doable. I haven't done it yet.
Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. There's an element of scraping the barrel on this, Treasure. I don't know what the landscape is.
Scraping the hot tub.
Well, scraping the lining. Because, let's face it, whatever this absence has been for the last 10 years, unless there is a supernatural explanation, which, I mean, let's face it, I would be interested in that, even if we could just make a mini-series script out of it. But
you don't want to get him on the podcast, actually. The
likelihood is that it like there's a certain ghosting element. I mean, there is a supernatural element because technically let me just ask you this. Can I just rewind a little bit? So the last conversation thread that you had on there before this recent emergence, was it friendly? Was it where was it left before this gap?
So we did this in person, so it's not on the text. But he, the whole time from when I met him, he was very upfront about this. He was still living with his ex because they'd bought a house and they were trying to sell it.
Oh,
and
right.
I knew about that, and that made me a bit wary when we got back to England that we shouldn't carry on. And so that was kind of the conversation. So it was friendly. Obviously, he was trying to make it happen. And we also lived quite near each other. And then I moved away. He messaged and seemed less interested because I moved south of the river in London, which, as you know,
well, it will do
it's
that.
It's a war zone.
Yeah,
yeah, it's like the DMZ in Korea. It's dangerous, and there are dragons. So I understood he couldn't cross the river to come and see me in Greenwich, being from North London.
Yeah,
but we did meet up a bit, and at one point, he said he had moved out. But I think I was leaving it at that point. I think I ghosted him to begin with, possibly. And then he ghosted me in an even much bigger way, I'd say.
In a more prolonged way. Yeah. So the last conversation you had with him, was it a face-to-face of let's leave this?
No, it was more hopeful than that. It was, I've moved out. Okay, let's see how this goes. And then we just didn't message again.
So equally, you didn't message him, he didn't message you.
Yeah.
Did you have other irons in the fire back then, Treasure? Did you have other fingers in other pies? Were there other options?
Yeah, I mean, the whole of South London was my playground. for a time when I was living in Greenwich. So that was fun. Yeah, I suppose maybe my interest died out a little bit.
I mean,
and for him, he was suddenly free of this.
Yeah.
Oh, people love the home of time. They love it.
It's horny,
They come
is
from
what
far
it
and
is.
wide.
Yeah.
It's very sexy to think that when it's British summertime, it happens in Greenwich. When it's wintertime, it happens in Greenwich. Time zones, Greenwich.
It's all
very
there.
naval.
It's the pinnacle,
yeah, it's very
isn't
maritime.
I mean, are you still there?
No, I moved away sadly, and I'm still in South London, but elsewhere. And it's just not as maritime history here.
Yeah.
No, maybe that's part of it. So I'm still south. So I imagine even if I did message him back, if he's north, he's not coming.
No, it's a treacherous journey, like you say, over those bridges. It's a treacherous journey, and
they could go down any time.
Any time, and not many people have done that journey. So it is uncharted waters, the Thames, literally, isn't it? So
yeah, I say
if
fewer people are taking the bridges. Yes.
Sorry, Treasure.
Okay.
We've got a bit
him.
of a glitch, but what we're going to do is we're absolute consummate professionals, so we're gonna keep going. But part of me wants to get a bit Agatha Christie on this, and I almost need, like, was there? Let me ask you the question that everybody's thinking. First of all, was the D quality?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell.
I wouldn't be bringing this up otherwise.
I mean, that, to be honest, Treasure, it all comes back to that, doesn't it? And that's why we're giving him the benefit of the doubt. That's why we're putting him in a Bobby Ewing style time machine, anything to excuse the terrible behaviour. Because when you come across quality, you've got to try and maintain that, right?
I mean, we carried on all through him getting away from his ex just for this to happen. I mean, it was memorable times. But yeah, I'd say at the time, I was footloose, fancy free, having fun. Now things are a bit different. Now things carry more weight, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is he he's not seeming like the right guy for me, is he?
I mean, he's not, but then part of me is thinking, life is short, Treasure. Life is... we're only here once, aren't we? If there's any distinguishing moles, perhaps on the tip of the penis, so we can identify this man. And despite all the red flags, I mean, we're wrapped in red flags at this point, but perhaps there might be somebody out there. I mean, there could be a couple of people who've had a text after 10 years. And we could join the dots, a bit like with the red thread on a corkboard.
Yes. Maybe I'm not the only one. Maybe something's happened. Maybe he had another relationship. And, maybe he's had another relationship. Maybe he bought another house with another woman.
And maybe there's another ex that he's about to move out from and he's trying to untangle himself from. Are there any other distinguishing features? Was he tall, short, fat, thin?
Thin, on the thinner side. I find it difficult to tell male height because I'm 5'3", and so anyone above like 5'8" or 9 is a giant to me.
Right.
So somewhere above, I'm going to say above 5'9", but probably below 7 foot.
Okay. So that does narrow it down. I mean, already the Tinder app is closing the net on this guy already. Do you remember what he did for a living, Treasure?
He was in like social work.
Oh, so he was a good person. He was a good person.
Well, yeah, he said the right things, but I'm starting to really doubt him now after talking to you.
Do you know what?
Really
I have that effect on people, Treasure. I do have that effect on people. Sometimes I could like. It's good to get it out, though. It's good to get it off. It's good to get it.
Feeling
talk
quite emotional,
it through.
Actually.
I can see that, Treasure, and there could be a lot of people listening who are feeling maybe traumatized and triggered by this conversation because it's sometimes it's the ones that get away, but maybe you were his one that got away. I mean, people will be screaming now at this podcast going, well, why don't you message him back? All these questions could be answered, actually, with one little missive in that text thread.
There's a bit of a problem. So I've bought a house with a guy now.
So you're in a relationship.
Yeah, and he might, I leave my phone lying around. He sees his message. He realises I'm in touch with a time traveller. We have to go to NASA. These films never end well. Like E.T. I'm not saying this guy's an alien, but it's more than normal science. It's more than chemistry, physics, and biology can explain, isn't it? We have to go to NASA. Flight of the Navigator. They got the little boy in the spaceship. They put him in NASA. They did tests on him. I don't want them to do tests on him.
No, we don't want that on our.
We don't want
that kind of. We don't want that kind of blood on our hands because I'm all out of Bunsen burners and safety goggles over here at Shea Kitty. So we can't do that. I'm wondering if maybe sometimes you can do an encrypted chat. Now, listen, I don't want to get like a sleuth. And actually, if you've bought a property with somebody and you've moved in with somebody, you don't want to jeopardise that, do you, Treasure? You don't want to jeopardise that by...
We're renting.
Oh, you're renting.
I'm renting from him. He's my landlord.
You're subletting. Okay. He's an estate agent.
And we're also in a relationship. And we're together.
I mean, I hope he's not listening to this. I hope he's not listening to this, Treasure, because do you know what?
He doesn't do podcasts.
Oh, well, I don't blame him because, there's just a load of shite out there, to be honest.
He likes like Diary of a CEO and like grind set type stuff.
Does he drink Huel?
Which I don't think is your... Yes, that's in fact the only thing he takes in.
I've got the demographic of this one. Well, that sounds like a promising future. But even just from curiosity, this is where the germ of the interest of this is the curiosity, isn't it? And also the audacity to get in touch with you again after all these years. I mean, we could do a true crime documentary about it. And the D. Let's not forget the D, because that is the magic ingredient. Well, I'm not entirely sure what we've solved here, but I think if there's anybody out there who's maybe got clue cracking skills, if there's anyone out there, and what holiday was it? It was a festival in Spain. That's what you said. 2014, a festival in Spain. Right. Okay. I mean, what goes on there? It's hedonistic, isn't it, Treasure?
Yeah, we had a good time.
And they are memories that you can draw on in those dark moments. I know with me and my Dave, we've been married for 25 years, and I will often think about, well, I mean, usually it is usually Bobby Davro. Sometimes it's Daniel Bedingfield, and I will just think about them in those moments when I just need to get things over the line, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, you've got to get through it.
You've got to get through it. I mean... I co-wrote that song. Do you think I saw a crumb of recognition for that? Yeah, I mean, this is the thing.
Daniel!
Yeah, absolutely. Where is he now? Well, he's got a restraining order against me. That's where he is now. But, these things sometimes go like that, don't they? Listen, it's been so lovely to chat to you. I'm glad that we delved a bit deeper. If any other clues surface, I want you to get in touch with me. Can you tell us anything that you'd like to sort of... I mean, as you know, I've got at least 25 listeners to this podcast. If you've got anything that you would like to plug, Treasure, tell us what you do and where you're going to be and where we can find you.
So I'm Suchandrika Chakrabarti. I'm a comedian and writer, and I've got some shows coming up. So on the 29th of May, if this is out then, I've got... improvised murder mystery show called Liz Truss's The Traitors, and that's on at Aces and Eights in Tufnell Park in North London. So in fact he might be there because I'm going to be crossing the river for that one. I'm actually going to start the journey tomorrow because it does take a while, and then I'm going to Edinburgh Fringe, and I'm taking my show Doom Scrolling there from the 15th to the 25th, so you can find tickets on edfringe.com.
I love that. What venue are you at in the Edinburgh Fringe, Treasure?
So I'm going to be in a big yurt, like Hootenannies at Potterrow. So it's just on the corner of Bristow Square before you take the underpass. I'm going to be in a big tent.
Oh, well, you know what? A lot of my listeners are very discerning, and there'll be coach loads of people going up to Edinburgh, I'm sure. So we'll put all of your links in the show notes. And thank you so much for joining me. And really, you know, I'm a bit like Poirot because you've whet my appetite now for this. It's a mystery that does need solving, and there is someone out there to solve it, isn't there?
Kitty made me feel a lot better. I was feeling very alone, and Sheila's got a few guys on the go, so she wasn't very sympathetic. Do you want?
She is a slut.
Do you want her back? Anytime? Okay.
I mean, to be honest, I've got a shed full of them down there. Feel free to send her back if you want, but I'm sure she's, you know, especially. I mean, she could join a throuple with you and your landlord. That could get interesting as well, couldn't it?
And
thank you so much.
Get some money off the rent, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Suchandrika, you've been great. And listen, that's how easy it is to get in touch with me, all right? You have been listening to Calling Kitty. And if this podcast has allowed you just to unplug from the shit show that is life, the world, the place, get in touch, treasures. Been lovely to see you.
Follow, subscribe, sign your life savings over to Calling Kitty. Available